Hi, this is Sweet June coming back at you with another interesting video topic. A lot of people are talking about the movie Girls Trip. Um, a lot of people are saying that it's a really good movie, and apparently it made a lot of money in the first weekend in the box office. You know where I'm going. You know where I'm going. Um, now I gotta be honest. Now I know I'm a Christian and everything, but at the end of the day, I'm a human being just like everybody else, and I struggle with things like everybody else. And I'm a big movie buff, and sometimes I really struggle on. I try to watch things that is not violent and full of sexual content and all that. But unfortunately, I mean, I'm a movie buff, so I struggle in that area. And so I gotta be honest, when the movie first came out, I was like, ooh, I want to see it. I want to go see it. It looks like it's gonna be really, really a good movie. I'm not gonna front. I'm gonna be honest. At the end of the day, I'm human just like everybody else. And I said, oh, I hope it's not rated R. And I seen that it was rated R, and I was like, well, I said, well, it won't hurt. Trying to reason with myself and try to justify. You know how you do when you really want to do something, you shouldn't do it, but you try to justify it. I was like, oh, it ain't gonna hurt nothing or whatever. You know, I was gonna wait until it came out on cable or DVD or something like that, and I said, oh, I have to skip through the bad parts. You try to justify things. Hey, we're all human, right? But, however, I realize now that I cannot watch the film. I cannot watch the film because, well, it does have a lot of sexual content, but you know that I've been talking about black women, negative images of black women in movies and television. I've been kind of on the bandwagon about that. And I'm hearing that this movie has a lot of sexual content in it, and it's just for black women. I mean, I love Queen Latifah. I think she's a really great actress, and I've always been a fan of hers. I've always loved her movies, and there's nothing against her. I think she's a great actress. I've always loved her and everything like that. But I just heard that um, it's just has a lot of sexual content in it. It's about four black women going on this trip and committing immorality and all this kind of stuff. And um, the picture of the that's promoting this film is not good. It's really not good, you know. And so, I've been talking about in some of my other videos, I've been talking about how um, black women are being very negatively portrayed in the media. And this is another film that black women are being negatively portrayed. Because I was talking about some of the reality shows, how black women are fighting and yelling and screaming. And here's the problem. I'm gonna explain to you what the problem is. We black women are the most horribly stereotyped women in this world. We are the most horribly stereotyped. If you look back at, you got to look at my video archives. I might do another one because that video is kind of far back. I might do another one. But I did a video listing, naming. I made a list of all the stereotypes that they have about black women, and it was like almost 40 something. I came up with almost 40. I wrote down every one that I could possibly think of. I came up with almost 40 stereotypes of black women. And then after I got done with the list, I thought about some more. And I might do another video because like that one's kind of far back. You'd have to really search to find the video. But we are the most horribly stereotyped and stigmatized women in the world. And the problem is, every time black women put out a film like this, or they put out negative reality shows of black women acting crazy and fighting and all this kind of stuff, it just perpetuates those stereotypes. And I made the point in some of my other videos that it affects us everyday black women. While the black female entertainers are getting paid and they're making a lot of money and they're getting the fame and the notoriety, us regular black women have to get the aftermath of all that. We have to experience, particularly on the reality shows, because people look at those shows, and because they are labeled reality shows, and we all know that they're all scripted, but because they're labeled reality shows, people think, well, that's how all black women are. We're loud and, like to fight and all that kind of stuff, and very confrontational and all this kind of stuff. And those reality shows really perpetuate the stereotypes and really, really make us everyday regular black women look bad because, like I said, we get judged as a whole. And this is another issue. Like I said, see, white women, it's different with white women. They can do a film like that. You could get four white women together and they can do a film like that, and it's not going to be that big of a deal, and the whole race of women will not be stigmatized by it. I promise you, they won't be. See, they don't have the same responsibility that we have. They have a totally different responsibility. They could do a film like that, and they won't. We all know that they're not going to get stigmatized like that. But us black women, we get judged as a whole. If you don't believe me, look at all the videos on here on YouTube. Just based on all these videos on YouTube alone, where they're talking about a certain segment of the black female population, but they always end up saying that we're all like that, which can't be further from the truth. And that's coming from our own men. A lot of those videos are coming from who? Black men. So if a lot of black men feel that way, just imagine what how the rest of the world feels, and how I'm not saying all white people, but society, the rest of the society feels when they look at these negative, constantly are bombarded and looking at these negative images of black women on television. There is not enough positive images of us being portrayed in the media. It's not. And this movie is not good. And I know that these actresses are making a lot of money. I get it that it's rough for black women in Hollywood. I get it. I get it. I know it's rough for black women in Hollywood. I know that there's a lot of racism in Hollywood. And I know it's hard for black women to get really good quality roles in Hollywood. But you know what? This is what black women need to start doing. Tyler Perry has proven that it can be done. Tyler Perry is one person, and Oprah Winfrey. They are two people that have proven that it can be done. Black females need to start their own production companies. They start their own production companies and produce their own films. Then that way you have the power and you have the control of what you put out there. Then you can determine what you put out there. You can control what you put out there. You don't have to be running to somebody else's studio and somebody else's production company begging them, or saying, just go ahead and give me this role because I need it. If you have your own production company, you can control what you put out there. You can call the shots, and you can put any kind of story out there and storylines out there that you want because it's your production company. Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey are two people that have proven that it can be done. You can have your own production company, via not via Hollywood, but independent of Hollywood, and you have the power of what you can control what you put out there. So it can be done. It just needs to be more black women doing it. It's like the black lady. I can't. Shonda Rhimes, the black lady that's puts out Scandal. I think she has her own production company or whatever. Um, but look what show she put out there. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not speaking negative about her, but we have a responsibility. Black women in Hollywood have a responsibility. I know they probably don't want to hear this, but they have a responsibility to put more positive images out there of black women. Because it ultimately, they may not realize it, but it winds up affecting us all because we get judged as a whole. Anybody with half a brain would know that is over the age of 30 and up knows that black women and black people as a whole, we all get judged as a whole. We don't get the luxury of being judged as individuals. Somebody sees a negative image of black women on television, 9 times out of 10, they're going to think we're all like that. And it could be people that we're working with, people that we encounter on a daily basis that link us to these negative images that they see on television. You know, and it does affect us all. While the those women that in the reality shows and the movies and stuff and television shows, they rich, they got money, they're famous and all that. But what about us everyday regular black women that just out here trying to make it, out here trying to grind and out here trying to make it? We can't afford to be going on the job and getting discriminated against because somebody looking at all these negative images wants to link us to all these negative images, and then in turn wants to take that out on us and wants to get rid of us on our job because that's the kind of stuff that happens when they look at all this stuff. A lot of people are ignorant, and that ignorant because of that ignorance, we have to suffer for it. And black artists and directors and producers have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to put more positive content out there of black females. Yeah, you're making a lot of money. Yeah, you're getting rich. You're getting famous. But what about the rest of us black women that they see those negative images and how it's going to affect us all? We get all these labels put on us, ratchet and all this kind of stuff. I really, I'm not ratchet, but I don't want the label, But it's not going. What's going to stop somebody from labeling me as ratchet? Somebody called me ghetto on here just because um, I smacked. I smacked maybe one too many times, and then they said I was being ghetto. They said I was ghetto. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't take much for us to get labeled, us to get stereotyped, us to get stigmatized. It doesn't take much. So black artists have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to put more positive content out there of black females. We don't have the luxury. They don't have the luxury of doing a film like this and there not be consequences, repercussions behind it because it affects the whole race. They may not think it does, but it does. White women can do a film like that, and their whole race of women is not going to be stigmatized by it. But our race of women will be and can be. Now, the movie in the first weekend This movie made $30 million in the first weekend. The movie Hidden Figures, the women that did all the math behind the worked for the NASA, and they did all the math behind the first uh, rocket ships going up and all that. I've seen that movie. It was a wonderful movie. That movie only made 22 million in the first weekend. But this movie with the girls trip, with them going on this trip and strippers and all this kind of stuff, all this immorality, made 30 million in the first weekend. Go figure. Hidden Figures was a positive movie about four black women that um, was very, very smart in math, and they worked for NASA during a time where women couldn't women hardly had no rights. On top of that, they were black. On top of that, they were women and they were black, so they had two hurdles to overcome. And then they realized in the end, well, I don't really want to give away the whole plot, in case some people didn't see it. But these women were the minds, the brains behind the first rocket ships going up in NASA. But they had to they had to go through some hurdles. They had to go through some obstacles, as black people most often do in that time frame, that time period. That was a wonderful film, but that one only made 22 million in the first weekend. The girls trip made 30 million in the first weekend. So what kind of values does that suggest? What kind of values does that suggest? Which film has more impact? The one where they're going on this trip and looking at all the strippers and men's and all this kind of stuff like that, drinking and going on? Or the one that made a huge impact with these women were responsible for some of the first rocket ships going in the air into space? Which one has the most positive impact? Which one makes black people look more positive? You know, we need more films like that. We need more films like that coming out in Hollywood. That was an excellent film. We need more films like that. If you got to do more, black people got to do more research and find more pioneers like that and start doing films about these people, then that's wonderful. That lets the world know that we're smart. We have brains just like everybody else. And we have some brilliant brains and brilliant people in our race, because there's a lot of black people that invented a lot of things, such as the stoplight, peanut butter, and a lot of other things. Black people invented. We got a lot of black people, a lot of people in our race that were brilliant people. More research needs to be done about these people, and these people's stories need to be told. Those types of movies, more those types of movies like Hidden Figures, need to be done in Hollywood. Not this type of stuff. That stuff needs to be few and far between, because black women are already stigmatized, and it's a serious issue. It is a huge issue, and it's a serious issue, because we got thousands of, probably millions of black men on YouTube perpetuating all these stereotypes. And it's really unfortunate and sad that it has to come from our own men. So if they feel that way, just imagine how society must feel when they see all this, these reality shows with all this negativity and all this kind of stuff. We need more positive. There's just not enough positive images of us in the media, and there needs to be more. So I'm sorry, ultimately, I can't support this film. Because first of all, I'm a Christian, shouldn't be watching it anyway. Ain't got no business watching it no way. Second of all, it just promotes, it perpetuates the negative images being put out there for black women. So I can't support it. I can't promote it. I love Queen Latifah and all that, but I can't support it. Okay, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. More interesting video topics coming up. This is Sweet Jen.